Results don't lie. Self-wicking tubs may just be my new favorite way of growing vegetables. Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and it has officially been 2 months since I built the self-wicking tubs, and it's time to do an update to let you guys know how the progress is coming on those, because it wouldn't be fair if I just built these tubs and said they're awesome, they're great, they're amazing, and then I never gave you an update and showed you if plants will actually grow in those tubs. And hey, I think you're gonna be blown away. I think you're gonna be impressed with how these tubs are doing and how they're growing crops. So let's check them out and take a look and see how everything's doing. So before we get started, I know most of you by now probably know this, but this idea came from Gardening with Leon here on YouTube. So go check him out if you haven't already. If this is the first time you're coming across one of my self-wicking tub videos, I didn't design this. This was not my idea. Go check out Gardening with Leon. He's got thousands of these things. So some things are doing really, really well in the tubs, and some not so much. And it isn't necessarily the tub's fault, I don't think. So first off, on this far end, I've had 2 successions of squash and zucchini. And there's 4 tubs, so 2 squash, 2 zucchini. And right now, we're down to 1 tub. And I don't think it has anything to do with the tubs themselves, because the plants grow and get nice and big. As you can see, here's a squash plant right here. There's actually 2 plants in that 1 tub. But I'm having some problems with powdery mildew, which is kind of a mold problem. And I don't think it's, you know, some people said maybe it's because the soil stays too moist, because the self-wicking tub, as you know, holds water in the bottom. The roots grow down and the soil's like a wick. It wicks moisture up. So the powdery mildew, at first I thought, well, it must be a problem with the tubs because they're staying too moist. I called Leon, talked to a few other people. Leon said he's probably been getting 5 to 10 phone calls every day about powdery mildew. People are growing inside a high tunnel greenhouse, outside in their garden. It's just a very common problem this year because we've had almost daily rainfall. So powdery mildew's become a problem this year. But right now we've got a couple squash plants that are doing really well. There may be a squash bug or 2 in here, but we got blooms everywhere, a few little bitty squash coming up. So lots of blooms, but as you can see, we're getting that powdery mildew. It's starting to form down here, and that squash plant will rot at the base, and then we've got problems. So next is my cherry tomatoes. Leon grows thousands of tomatoes in these self-wicking tubs. I'm only doing cherry tomatoes in here this year just to test it out. But as you can see, I put 1 cherry tomato in each, put a couple marigolds around it, you know, just to help with pests, and it looks pretty. But look here, we've got cherry tomatoes. The plants are, this one's about 5 feet tall. That one over there is probably 6 feet tall. They're growing insanely fast. They're growing really, really well in these tubs. So moving on down the line, the next thing is pepper plants. I've got 2 pepper plants in each tub, and there's 2 tubs. The closest one over here that looks a little droopy right now, I don't have any support. I need to trellis my pepper plants because they're getting big. I need to get something in here to support them. But first off, we've got banana peppers. Look at this. These things are absolutely loaded down with peppers. So as I said, there's 2 plants in each pot, and I do need to trellis it because that guy's fixing to fall over. Let's walk around and look at the bell peppers. How about this bell pepper? This plant is probably only about 18 inches tall, and it's already got an almost fully matured bell pepper on it. So again, just for pretty sake, I really love planting flowers with my vegetables. It pretties everything up. So got some marigolds, got some zinnias. I mean, they just love these tubs. Now the next one with the big tomato cage on it here, it's kind of leaning, I need to straighten it out, is 2 eggplants. I put 2 eggplants in this 1 tub, and they're growing like crazy. Look at this little beauty right here. Our first eggplant, and the other plant has one on it over there too. So eggplants get really leggy, and when you get, I say leggy, they get really tall and flimsy. They need some support, so this tomato cage will work perfect. But you can imagine when you get 4 or 5 eggplants on here that get to be, you know, half a pound to a pound a piece, because it's blooming everywhere, it'll get loaded down and it can't stand up. So I'm using tomato clips to clip it onto the cage, and it'll stay inside there and have support its whole life. So how about some greens? Look at this Swiss chard. I've grown several containers of Swiss chard, and this is not rainbow lights. It's some kind of giant Swiss chard. I don't remember the name. I'd have to look it up, but I mean, check it out. How can you beat that? My wife and I juice a lot, so look at that big stalk all the way up, big healthy leaves. Got a few pests nibbling here and there, but not too bad. But the Swiss chard, this stuff loves these containers. Next in line is 2 tubs of cucumbers. I showed you guys the other day growing cucumbers in barrels. So I like to experiment and do things different ways. So here's one of my cucumber barrels. There's 2 more over there. Cucumbers are getting loaded. There's some cucumber cages. I grow my cucumbers vertical when they're in the ground. But I planted these were planted later, so it's kind of the next succession of cucumber plants. And I put them on a string. This is just baler twine that goes up to my rafters in my greenhouse here. And like I said, I'll grow them vertically, but they're doing great. They blooming like crazy. Got blooms everywhere. So there's 2 cucumbers in each tub. And this one obviously is growing a lot faster than the one next to it. I don't know what the deal is over there, but can't complain about this guy. This was some spinach. We harvested on this for a couple weeks. It's just getting so warm in here now. It's starting to bolt. A little overgrown, over mature. That's the next succession of Swiss chard. We started eating on that first container back there. This one we haven't really picked much off of yet. It needs a few leaves trimmed and pruned. Some of them aren't real bright green. May need a little extra fertilizer just because there's so much in there. Now the next couple containers are going to answer a lot of questions, because I've had a ton of questions of what you can and can't grow in these containers. And quite honestly, you can grow just about anything in these tubs. But a lot of people said, since you're holding water at the bottom, you got a water reservoir down here, your soil's really moist as it comes up, can you actually grow root crops in there successfully, or will they rot? Well, I'm going to show you a couple root crops. We got carrots and beets. Let's show you the success there. So let's start off with some carrots. Houston's just about picked this container empty. He comes out here almost every day and picks a couple carrots. Okay, let's see what we can find. How about this little carrot right here? How about that? That carrot's a good, I would say 6 inches long. Nice dark colored carrot. Lots of nutrients. It's going to taste amazing because it's been so well fed. Now how about beets? My wife and I juice beets. That's why we have all these. I've canned beets in the past, but we just really don't eat them like that very much. And this had a ton of beets in it. These seeds actually came from a fellow YouTuber. So I kind of saved the seeds right here. I saved the seeds in the pack so I'd remember what I planted there. But these came from Bumblebee Junction. They were pelletized seeds called big old beets, and he sent them to Houston. So we've been growing those in this tub, and they've done really well. But let's take a look. Let's see. Let's pull a beet. How about that? Nice sized beet. And this container held, I mean, just loads and loads and loads of these beets. I mean, we probably planted them a little too dense, but my wife and I juice the actual beet and the greens. And the greens go great in a salad. Don't ever waste your beet tops. I mean, that right there goes perfect in a little salad, stir fry, whatever you want to put it in. So yes, you can grow root crops in self-wicking tubs very successfully. A lot of people ask. A ton of people have asked about root crops. Even potatoes. A lot of people said, can you grow potatoes in there? I've been to Leon's and personally watched him harvest potatoes out of his tubs. I haven't tried it yet, but I know he's done it, so it is possible. And if these two can survive and grow big, I don't see why a potato couldn't. So I've got 2 more tubs that I want to show you before we wrap this video up. But as you can see, all of these tubs, some of the tubs are empty right now because we've harvested and need to get other things planted in there. But so far, these things are working out like perfect. I couldn't ask for better results on some of this stuff. They've done excellent. Low maintenance. Water them once or twice a week. I mean, add a little fertilizer, give them some food. There's no weeds. They're awesome. And I know my good friend Dutch from Keeping It Dutch posted a video, and a lot of people were like, Dutch's plants look terrible. Is it because he's outside in a garden and you're under plastic? Maybe. Yeah, growing in a high tunnel has some benefits, but these containers will grow outside just fine. Trust me, they do not have to be under plastic. So to prove that, I've got two more pots I want to show you. They're two fig trees. These are Houston's fig trees. And one came from Leon, and we put it in his self-wicking tub. And one came from Danny and Wanda at Deep South Homestead. And they were both planted pretty close to the same time. They were about the same size when we started. But I'm going to show them to you, and you tell me if you can tell the difference in which one is in a self-wicking tub and which one is in a tub that just has holes drilled in the bottom. Okay, there's your side-by-side comparison. The tub on the left is the fig tree that came from Danny and Wanda at Deep South Homestead, which it's growing. It's doing great. It's starting to put on some figs for the year. Can you see them right there? Got a few figs. I mean, it's a healthy tree. We did get a little bit of frostbite last year through the winter. Some of the tops got bit just a little bit, but it's a successful fig tree. However, when you look right next to it, this one is a self-wicking tub from Leon, and the tree is much larger. It started putting on fruit much earlier. It has a ton more fruit on it, and the figs are a lot bigger. Now, here's the only difference. This one is a Celeste fig. I have to tell you this, just to be honest. This one's a Celeste, and this one's a brown turkey fig. So that may have a little bit to do with it, but just the overall size difference, the growth difference, the self-wicking tub is doing so much better. So yes, you can grow crops in these big tubs, any big tub that's got holes in the bottom of it, but you're gonna have to water this thing almost daily when it gets hot, because as you water, the water goes straight down from the top, straight out the holes in the bottom and in the ground. So with the self-wicking tub, you're able to hold water in there. So there you have it. In my opinion, the proof is in the results. I felt I needed to come out here and show you guys some results, show you how it's going so far for our garden season in the self-wicking containers. Now, is this the only way to grow food? Absolutely not. Is this the best way to grow food? Maybe. It might be for you, and it might not be for the next guy, but it's another option, another way, another idea to try to get people to grow their own food, even if they just grow a little bit of their own food. To me, this is a no work, no mess, very easy way of growing vegetables, and I'm enjoying it. I like it. It works great. It's simple, very easy process. There's very little input after you get your tubs built versus growing like outside in the garden, constantly fighting grass. Weeds are not a problem here. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed our little update on the self-wicking tubs. They work great. I challenge you just to try something different. Try growing something like this. If you can't find these tubs, that's okay. Use a 55-gallon barrel and cut it half, or trash can, or whatever you can find. Just try it. And if you haven't seen the first video on how to build these self-wicking tubs, I'll leave a link to that. Be sure and go check that out. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day. And as always, we'll see you on the next video.